I don't get the Western fascination trying to protect a system that is not working.
Yeah.
It's very different. The prices have skyrocketed, so to get the same house that we grew up with, why do you want to go to Australia?
No, don't go there.
Don't go there. Like I'm serious, because they see a high salary, but they're not considering the taxes, they're not considering the cost of living.
Tough.
You're going to live a better quality of life most of the time here in Malaysia. When I was working in my mid-20s in Sydney, I wasn't really getting anywhere. I mean, just to live a decent life. I mean, I had my own apartment, wasn't saving much, and then as soon as I moved to Malaysia, 2022, my net worth has exploded.
On this week's episode of the Cost of Living Abroad podcast, I sat down with Jack Alderton, a young Aussie who left Sydney for Kuala Lumpur. He revealed to me some of his biggest fears before he moved to Malaysia from Australia, why he thinks the healthcare system is crumbling back home and taxes and inflation are killing the quality of life in Australia, and stick around to the end because he reveals to us how and why his net worth absolutely exploded after he made the move to Southeast Asia. But before we get into it, I just want to thank this week's sponsor, Safety Wing Nomad Insurance.
That was something I worried about. When I was moving here, I was worried about safety. I thought, am I going to be a target? Am I going to stand out?
So many people listening are people like back home, whether that's like America, Canada, Australia, and they see the kind of lives that we have. They see the costs, and they think like, how can I do it?
But that's the main thing. It's the cost of living is the main reason why people want to leave these legacy brand Western countries. You're right. A lot of the Western countries, Canada, US, UK, Australia, they all have a lot of the similar issues, and you see a lot of the same mindsets coming up with the people there. They just don't know how to do it.
Spoiler, but anyone who's watched my videos knows, like, I was probably spending $5,000 a month. In Vietnam, I spend anywhere from $800 to $1,200 a month.
Yes, everything.
Right, so you're eating off 12 or 13 US dollars a day.
Basically. So my groceries, I'm mostly carnivore diet. I buy meat, I buy chicken and beef. I buy the Aussie beef, and it's cheaper here than it is in Australia.
That's the same in Vietnam.
Which is quite unbelievable how that works. I met up with another vlogger from the UK, so I've met some other guys here. We got some beer. So alcohol is more expensive in Malaysia.
Yes.
Which, again, good and bad, you know, so there's less of that sort of massive drinking culture here, which I much prefer compared to like Australian nightlife. It's just people getting drunk and violent on the street in the middle of the night, which makes it unsafe. Whereas here, it's super wholesome. You know, I've gone out at midnight, rarely, but when I go out at midnight, I feel completely safe. I'm not worried about a thing. So a beer is probably up to 30 ringgit for a pint, far more expensive than Thailand or Vietnam. But realistically, in Kuala Lumpur, it's a modern city. You got a mix of people. You're not going to have an issue.
Medical, dental, health insurance.
My favorite topic.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Oh, you literally have a video about this. You're not even joking.
I've done videos about it. I've done a full health checkup in Malaysia. I did a video, one that popped off for me was healthcare in Malaysia versus Australia.
Let's link it right here.
Let's link it. And I just shit on Australia because I'm sick of these Western countries going on about how we have free healthcare.
Yes.
It's bullshit, guys. I'm really passionate about this. I mean, Canada's probably the same.
It is.
So universal healthcare. Guys, you're paying for it. Australians are paying high taxes for this shitty healthcare.
Yes.
You've got a 2% levy for Medicare. And you have to wait to see a doctor. I mean, the public system, okay, it's fine. You can go to a GP, you can see a doctor, right? But then they'll send you to the pharmacies. You've got to go to the chemist, you wait in line with your script, then you have to pay extra for that. It takes a long time. There's always lines, you know, just to see a GP, get basic prescription. You come here, boom, you don't have to wait. You see a GP straight away. I have health insurance provided by my work, which I'm grateful for. But even without that, it'll only be a few hundred ringgit a month. And the amazing thing about it covers everything. I haven't had to pay a cent out of pocket. In Australia, you can pay for private health insurance, hundreds of dollars a month, and every time you go to use it, you'll be paying hundreds of dollars on
the
top.
premiums are going to bounce up.
It's a joke. Right? So you're paying the premiums, and you're paying, unless the doctor bulk bills, that's what they call it in Australia, you're paying above the charge. So if you want to see a specialist doctor through your private health insurance, it's going to take you months to get an appointment. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so that Vietnam, I think, the healthcare isn't at the level of like Thailand or Mexico, where people, I mean, especially like my audience, a lot of older, sometimes retired people.
Come
like
to Malaysia.
Digital nomad types. Yeah, you should check out Malaysia. I mean, that's why we're talking about it. They have that experience where for a more affordable cost, for a better experience or a better
100%.
service.
Yeah, so you can either, if you're living here long term, you can get the insurance, which covers everything. So I blew my mind. So when I hurt my shoulder and my knee, I went to the specialist, didn't need an appointment, just rocked up, saw the specialist. He sent me for an MRI. I went downstairs, got the MRI, and then I came back and I saw the specialist again in a few hours. In Australia, that process would take weeks at the very best. and it would cost hundreds or if not $1,000. Whereas here it was free, like it was covered by the insurance.
Yeah.
And I saw it it was mind blowing to me.
I had knee surgery at a French operated hospital in Vietnam, which is a holdover from colonial areas. But there's those Franco-Viet hospitals, they call them, and then there's also Vinmec, which is owned by the richest man in Vietnam, the VinFast car guy, right? They both have incredible top-tier service, English-speaking.
Yeah.
Any international healthcare coverage, like for example, if you use what I used to use as a traveler, Safety Wing.
I use Safety Wing's Essential Plan every time I travel around Southeast Asia to film this show. And not just for medical stuff. You also get up to $500 per luggage item lost, $3,000 if your checked luggage disappears, $5,000 for trip interruptions. I mean, this stuff can come in super handy if my camera equipment or recording gear goes missing, or if I get stuck and have to reschedule an episode. If it sounds good to you, use this QR code over my shoulder to sign up now, or check the link pinned in the comments and at the top of the descriptions for this episode. Now let's get back to Jack and find out how his net worth exploded in Southeast Asia.
But any of that stuff is going to cover you, and you're going to get like top hole stuff, right? And like you say, I mean, I've had experience. I twice blew out my knee rock climbing. Second time I had to have surgery. Appointment on Monday, you get your MRI, right? The day. You go in, you get the MRI the same day. Follow-up appointment later that afternoon, the next day with the knee specialist, who's, considered the best knee specialist in Vietnam. Yeah. He looks at it as like, here's the options. You want surgery? I'm having my surgery I think for me it was within a week or 8 days.
I mean, that's what I was going to say. Even if you don't have the insurance, I mean, it's affordable to just pay for it. Whereas in a Western country, it wouldn't be. You can do it. And I mean, my dad's 60, so he's retired 60, and he saw me get a full health checkup here in Malaysia. And I mean, just paying for that, it was 700 ringgit to get all the tests, everything done. I do that once a year. It was covered by work, but I mean, that's the price, 700 ringgit.
Yeah.
So if you're in Australia, to get something like that would cost $700 minimum, probably double that. And for many of you, it will actually be cheaper for you to fly to Southeast Asia, get all your medical tests done here, have a holiday, and fly home for less than the price of getting the medical done at home. So why not?
Let's talk about transportation. How do you get around the city?
The transportation in Kuala Lumpur is amazing. So we've got the MRT, so the underground metro system, the train, the driverless train. Fantastic. Some of the best in the world. If you're on that line, so there's the LRT, which is the above ground train, and the MRT, which is below. So I would recommend if you come to Kuala Lumpur, if you come to Malaysia, stay on the green or the yellow MRT line, going through all the main places, KLCC, it goes all the way down to Putrajaya, which is the government city. But if you're on that line, it is world class and it's super cheap. So I go to and from work on the MRT. It costs $1.50 each way. So I mean, it's an
40
absolute
cents or
bargain.
something? Yeah.
I don't even notice it.
Oh my God.
And then anywhere, so I'm doing that every day. And then if I need to go somewhere else, you can get a Grab. So Grab, I mean, it gets more expensive in peak times. But if you're just going normal, if you time your trip, it's not much at all. I mean, 20 ringgit max.
My Grab over here was 16 or 17 ringgit. It was like less than $4.
Yeah, not Uber in Australia. Not feasible for the average person to be Ubering everywhere, in my opinion. But you come to somewhere like here, and it's easy going.
There is still some, we can talk about this later, some air pollution, some heat issues here, but it is noticeably less than Vietnam.
Yeah,
and
that's
I think
a good topic.
That's the obvious answer. The obvious why is because there's great public transit.
Yeah, the public transport. Yeah, people ask about the pollution and the topic. I love the weather here. It is a little overcast. That's the only thing I would say. I love having the sun. So when you do get a rare sunny day, it's beautiful. But overall, I love the weather in Kuala Lumpur. It's warm, it's tropical, and it's the same year round. And you get a predictable rain. It rains in the afternoon. I'm sure Vietnam's very similar. You know when it's going to rain. It's not a problem for me. I'm usually at the office. Pollution is noticeably less pollution here than Thailand and Vietnam.
Yeah.
If you actually look at the data and the statistics, Kuala Lumpur is actually pretty good compared to the other Southeast Asian. The visa costs, so yeah, most places to travel are visa free. I've never really had.
What kind of visa are you on Malaysia?
Good question. So I'm on the work visa, the EP, which is provided by work. So if you do get something like that, if you're working here, it won't be out of your pocket. Your workplace should cover that. So that hasn't cost me anything. Otherwise, the other visas you're looking at is the tourist visa here, which is for Westerners is free and no documents. It's just on arrival. So that's one of the benefits of Malaysia. You get 3 months off the go. No worries at all. There is a digital nomad, the Dirantau visa, which people go through and apply. And I think that does cost a little bit. But the general recommendation is don't bother with that unless you're going to stay for a long term and you really need the documentation for some reason. The other big one is the MM2H visa, which is like the retirement.
The buy a house visa, right?
Yeah, so the buy a house visa. So this is, they've upped the requirements. It's going to cost a lot. It's not cheap at all. So you have to invest in a home. You have to buy a property worth at least 1 million ringgit. And you're going to have a deposit of 150,000 US dollars as well. So this
on
is
top of that.
On top of that.
Unbeknownst to most people, and do I get flack for it in the comments, because Vietnam has no actual retirement visa.
Yep.
People think you can't retire there. There's 100,000 expats living in Vietnam full time, and the investor visa options are actually a lot cheaper than that.
Okay.
And the crazy thing about the Vietnam one, which is sort of, you should have to call me to get this information. Seriously. You can spend it.
Right. Okay.
So you bring in 100,000 or 120,000 to open your business.
Yep.
That's money that literally goes into the rent and the operation cost of your business.
I understand.
Which is like nothing,
That's
right? Like compared to, you try to open a restaurant in Sydney,
you're
going to have to spend $100,000 to renovate the bathroom to the way they want it to look.
Right.
Which is the same thing that happens in Toronto.
Yep.
You're going to spend $50,000 on fees, regulations, and paperwork
that's right.
before you pay your first month rent. The expensiveness of this investor visa in Vietnam, it's not expensive because you're allowed to use the money
I would say
in Vietnam.
Yeah, if you're looking to do that, I mean, Vietnam it's behind Malaysia in a lot of ways, but that's much more favorable.
Yes, it's super business friendly.
Business friendly. If you're looking to do that, you're getting in early. I think they'll probably change that in the future, but it's designed that way to attract 100%. People there. That's a good thing. So
it's open for business, right?
So take advantage of it. Yeah.
So what it has happened is it's gone up. I think it was 40,000, and then 80,000, and now it's 120,000.
Yeah. But in terms of the Vietnam, there's no retirement visa, but people live there they just go in and out.
Well, people do visa runs, but look, use the consulting link. The visa run thing is a joke. The only reason you would do that is if you can come at me in the comments, you're broke.
Okay.
If you're broke, fine. But if you're broke, you shouldn't be retiring in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Or if you're wintering.
Okay.
Because it's 90-day visa runs.
Yep.
So if you do 6 months a year in Vietnam, you only have to do one visa run. Okay, and if that's your situation, then it's perfect, right? You show up, your first 90 days, literally $25, which is, what is that, 100 ringgit?
Yeah, that's right.
$25 for your first 90 visa.
Yeah.
90 days in, you take a weekend in Bangkok, in Kuala Lumpur, wherever, costs $100, you have a little vacation, do some shopping, you go back, another $25 visa.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're in a temporary 3 to 6 months position, absolutely, you need nothing. It's easy as pie to retire.
Yeah, because that's what a lot of my guys are looking at. I mean, if you're just wanting to travel around, you can base yourself in Vietnam, you can base yourself in Kuala Lumpur, and then travel to these other places as well, which is probably what I'm going to look at doing. But if you want to settle permanently or for a long time in one place, then you will need to look at. So here there is no limit on you can buy anywhere, but since there's a 1 million ringgit minimum price for foreign purchase in Kuala Lumpur, it's probably they're going to push it up to that price so it meets the minimum.
A little bit more costly to enter this market.
Guys, it depends what you want. I mean, a lot of people are going to be more favorable in Malaysia. It's a Commonwealth country. Most people here speak English.
Yes.
So a lot of people, you're going to find that more favorable for business. I know a lot of people will find it overwhelming to go to Vietnam. It seems like a completely different culture and place. So it's not for everyone. You know more about that than me. But if you're looking for, as they call it, Southeast Asia on easy mode, that's what Malaysia is. You can come here, settle in, no worries, speak English.
A lot of my audience too, a lot of them, the Americans, think about the Philippines as being that. And I think for a certain kind of guy or woman, a retiree, older person, Malaysia's probably a better option than the Philippines.
I think it's definitely a better option.
The Philippines is hectic.
I've been to Manila, which doesn't represent the whole country, but dude, I'm not going back. It's mental. I mean, just the transport, you can't get a Grab. Like, if it's too difficult, there's no public transport. If you compare Kuala Lumpur to Manila, I don't think anyone would be picking Manila, in my honest opinion. Philippines is a beautiful place otherwise. I mean, I'd go for the beaches and the islands, and the people are lovely.
Yes, absolutely.
People are absolutely lovely, but Manila,
Filipinos are lovely, but you're probably not going to pick there. Okay, so let's cap off the budget, monthly expenses breakdown with basically what we've just been talking about, what everybody really wants to know. What kind of place do you get? How much do you cost? What's the rent in Kuala Lumpur?
Sure, so I just looked for a new apartment. I just moved into a new condo, so that means a new condo too is coming. Those are the ones that pop off on my channel. You guys love it. I think Kuala Lumpur is one of the best rental markets in the world. in terms of what you get for the price you get and the location that you're in. Yeah, I think Kuala Lumpur is one of the best property markets in the world, certainly one of the best rental markets in terms of what you get for the condo and the location and the infrastructure around it. So my lease I just signed, 12-month lease, is 3,000 ringgit a month, which might seem expensive, but I've got a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, brand new building right in the center of the city, right next to the train station, which is on that MRT line, one stop away from TRX where I work. It's the premium location right opposite a shopping center. I've got everything at my doorstep.
Okay.
You can't beat it, I'm telling you. I've looked at all different places. So you're looking at between 2,000 and 4,000 ringgit a month for a banger place.
Which is under like what, 450 USD, under 500
from under 500 USD up to 700 USD. So I've always rented within that price range, about 3,000 ringgit a month. The first place I rented was Aria Luxury Residences, which is right on the Embassy Street, or the embassy, opposite the US Embassy actually. So that was 3,200 ringgit a month. I believe about $700 a month.
3,200 is 751, yeah.
751. I mean, the exchange rate has changed a little bit since then. And then I moved into a 2-bedroom, 2-bath near Kampung Baru called Sedia Sky with the beautiful infinity pool, everything also right on the MRT line. That's what you're paying for. If you go further out, it can be up to half the price. But I recommend you stay on the MRT line just for ease of use. So those are approximately the price, around 3,000 ringgit for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. You can get a studio, if you just want a studio by yourself, I mean, way cheaper, from 250, $300.
Yeah.
No problem.
So that 300 to maybe 700.
There's a massive range. There's an oversupply of apartments here. You have so much choice. I mean, I've only looked at, I have my criteria. I need a pool, it needs to have a gym. This time it needs to have 2-bedroom, 2-bath, it needs to be on the MRT station. But if you can sacrifice those things, if you want a bigger place, you want a 3-4 bedroom duplex, further out,
like in an older
in
style,
a bit of an older place, or just further out, not near the MRT line. If you want to drive, one of my favorite places in Kuala Lumpur is Desert Park City. It's like a dog park area. A lot of expats live there. It's about 20 minutes away from the city, but you're getting fantastic greenery. That's suburban, 100% up there. The only reason I'm around the city centre is because I work here. If I wasn't stuck here for work, I would probably move somewhere like that. There's a lot of international schools here, and I spoke to a family who are living in Penang. So they're paying about 2,000 ringgit a month for a beachside, beautiful condo. So that's a different perspective as well. Penang is a bit cheaper than Kuala Lumpur. They're homeschooling their kids, which I thought was very interesting.
People do that in Da Nang.
Yeah, right. And they're loving it. They think they've got a good online curriculum and they're loving it. But there are a lot of options. There's an Australian international school here, which I want to do a video with them as well to promote that. Because I'm sure you're getting better quality education here at one of these international schools than a public school back in Australia. I don't think that's cracked up. And the private schools back in Australia
are insane.
I went to one, I'm lucky for that, but now the prices are unbelievable. It's not feasible at all. So,
okay, amazing. Well, let's do it. What's the total number? How much does it cost for Jack? And I mean, you're living good, man. You're living like a king.
I'm living good.
So this is definitely a luxury lifestyle.
That's right. So as I say, guys, I mean, Malaysia can be as cheap and expensive as you want it to be. So I share my real data. I share my experience as a young man who moved here to live a good life.
I didn't live a better life. That's the point.
I didn't come here to cheap out and save a lot. Well, I'm saving a lot of money and I'm living a good balanced lifestyle, right? If I want to go, so some months I spend double. Sometimes I go hard. If I'm traveling a lot, I spend up. But if I'm in Malaysia for a month, I'm not doing any travel. Maybe I'm spending 5,000-6,000 ringgit. I would say that's the number. So
about $1,400
maximum based in KL, and that's still eating good groceries. Maximum. Someone messaged me on Instagram. They go, "Hey, I'm Jack. I'm Aussie. I'm coming to Malaysia. I have a $5,000 a month budget. What can I get?" I'm like, you don't need to ask me. Don't even worry about it. Like, you're a baller. You will just.
Yeah, I mean, you're a baller, and half your money can go back into investments and collect dividends, right?
Exactly. But whereas in Australia, $5,000 a month, I mean, you're just getting by.
I'm retired because I did what you did. I moved to Vietnam, geo arbitrage, by making basically the same salary I was at home in Vietnam, but I had health insurance, everything.
Same thing.
A package with absolutely everything. Good.
That will cover you. Yeah, so I'm seriously thinking about retiring early as well. I'm in that position
go remote,
now.
Right?
Yeah, so I'm in that position now where if you're earning, $1,000, $2,000 online, I can get by just fine. So it doesn't justify working hard, slaving away. What are you doing it for? So when I was working in my mid-20s in Sydney, I wasn't really getting anywhere. I mean, just to live a decent life. I mean, I had my own apartment, I wasn't saving much. And then as soon as I moved to Malaysia, 2022, my net worth has exploded. So I'm going to do a video on that. But
you should, absolutely.
It's a no-brainer. If you can get that opportunity and be in that position, do it. Because you can always go back. That's a great, I've realized suburb I grew up with, it's gotten worse. I mean, because now they've put up all these apartments, Castle Hill, if you know, northwest Sydney, Hills District. So it used to be a nice family area. Yeah. Now it's just got pumped with immigration. So it's an Indian area now, which is not bad. I'm not going into that, but it's different. It's very different. The prices have skyrocketed. So to get the same house here we grew up with, exact same scenario, but now it's also more congested. It's gotten worse.
What's it like in Malaysia? Do you feel safe here? Do you think the level of safety in Kuala Lumpur is good, medium?
I think it's extremely safe. I mean, again, I can only speak from my personal experience. And when I interview people, I like speaking to women to get their perspective because I do think women have a different experience. But that was something I worried about. When I was moving here, I was worried about safety. I thought, am I going to be a target? Am I going to stand out? If I'm going to have the designer bag or my stuff? I thought, am I going to get jumped? Like I had all these paranoia.
Look, Jack moved to Malaysia for quality of life. He leveled up and went to the easy, affordable luxury. Setting up your new life, you need a plan if something goes wrong while you're in Southeast Asia and living abroad. Safety Wings Nomad Insurance covers you in over 180 countries. We're talking about hospital stays, travel delays, meds, evacuations, even repatriation to your home country. And it starts at just $56 every 4 weeks. Use the link below pinned in the comments or at the top of the description, or just click and capture this QR code over my shoulder.
Of course. The opposite was true. I mean, maybe people are intimidated by me, I don't know, but I've had zero problem with safety. I've gone out late at night, absolutely no problem. I mean, people said the police here were dodgy and would try to, nothing. I haven't been spoken to by a police officer once. So in 3.5 years, absolutely safe. Nothing has happened to me. I mean, alcohol, at night is less of a problem. I think that's a big thing in the West. If you go out, you go into the nightlife places where people are drunk, are violent. I was assaulted in Australia, in Sydney, in the middle of the day, which is crazy. Whereas nothing like that has happened here. There's far less drugs as well. Yeah. So in my experience, I can't speak on behalf of everyone. I will say one good thing now, here they have on the trains, they have a women's only section, which the women love it because they feel like they have their own section, surrounded by other women, they feel safer. Yeah. So I think that's great, but it's a safe place. I don't know what else to say.
I absolutely love Vietnam. My biggest struggle in Vietnam has been and continues to be learning the language.
So I'm terrible at languages. I've tried learning a little bit. Hopeless. I can't do it. So that's a really important topic for me because if I went to a country where I couldn't speak the language or I had to learn, I would be struggling. But I'm telling you, as someone who cannot speak another language, that Malaysia I have zero problem or next to zero problem. I mean, in the city, in 99% of places you go, people speak English at least enough to understand. So that's why they say Malaysia is Southeast Asia on easy mode. You can come here, you can speak to everyone. There's no language barrier, not a problem.
Socializing, that's real. That's a real barrier. Yeah, and I don't sugarcoat that or lie about that. It's a real barrier, and that's what you do need help with.
Yeah, and people say that about Thailand as well. I mean, a lot of guys go to Bali too, and the language. I went there a few months ago. The language, the Bahasa, is much more dominant than English in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, everything can be in English if you want it to be. So honestly, no struggle.
How do you meet people here? How do you socialize? How do you find friends, dating, etc.?
Yeah, interesting topic and something I've covered more on my channel. I've had my low moments here where I have felt lonely, which is you're going to get in any country when you move and you don't have a family with you. So that's different. I'm a single young man. So when I came to Malaysia, my outlet to meet people was dating. You get excited by the women in Southeast Asia, and I had some crazy experiences. Probably those first 6 months of moving here, I was the hot target, and had some good times. But then after that, I wanted to settle down, and I got into a serious long-term relationship, which has just ended. So now I've had to sort of get back out there and reassess my life and the people I meet. So we live a good life here, and it's been great to meet like-minded people. So I think first step is find people in the same situation as you. don't have to be from the same country as you, but I think we could relate a lot as well just by being creators and living that lifestyle. So that's one thing you want to do. If you want to connect with other expats, go to the expat areas, go to Changkat, go to the Bar Street. You'll find other white people. You just start talking to them. Watch the
and you're
same
speaking
sports.
English. So
you're speaking English, so it's not
what
a problem.
about dating? Did you use the online dating apps?
I wasn't expert in the dating apps back in the day. I'm trying to get it going again. But yeah, Tinder and Bumble are the way to go. They're the most popular ones. There's also Coffee Meets Bagel and a few other more serious sites like that. You will find a lot of women on there. Probably Bumble is the best one. I'd recommend Bumble. And not necessarily for a relationship and not for short term either. Just to meet friends. Go on there, meet with the local women. In Malaysia, majority Muslim. So if you're looking as a foreigner, not Muslim, if you're looking for a serious relationship, you're not going to be dating the Muslim women. So 60% of the pool is out of there. But the other pool, the other 40% are going to be quite open to dating foreigners, and you're going to be open.
Man, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks so much for watching this week's episode of the Cost of Living Abroad pod, brought to you by Safety Wing Nomad Insurance. You can find more episodes of the pod over my shoulder, or check out thecostoflivingabroad.com right here.